How we doing?
You said that you want to keep seeing progress every week. It seems like you made another step forward last week against the Colts.
You know, I think in a lot of phases we did. Consistency with the pass pro was better there. And then the run game was fit up pretty good all game. And then it kind of, got going there with some explosive runs. So it's better. And we just got to keep doing that, really. We're really trying to keep developing, keep growing, and, just see how far we can take it.
The way Reese sort of made it through the game after what happened with him and everything. I guess your thoughts on that, on how he was able to do that?
I think a lot of guys in this league do that. Typically in games, you get nicked or you get whacked like you did, and you got to work through it if you can. And he was able to do that. So you got to take your hat off to him. That's certainly a level of toughness and all that. And we're trying to take care of him this week, get him ready to go for Sunday.
So are you anticipating him playing Sunday?
It looks like it, yeah.
How do you coach him guarding against that kind of play from in front of you?
We actually talked about it. If ever, it didn't happen to us much in terms of throwing interceptions. And so when that happens, everybody needs to break to the ball, because if you just start to flounder out there, then they're lining you up. And, we don't move as well as some of those guys do, and you tee off on us. So we actually talked about it, and it was an opportunity to coach something that if we throw another interception this year, we want to break to that ball right now and try to squeeze it into the boundary and eliminate those big collisions out there in the field.
Was that a good, hard football play?
Sure. Yep.
What have you seen out of Luke Jokel here the last couple of weeks? It seems like he's made some strides for you.
Yeah, very consistent. Obviously his experience, I think his wisdom that he's grown playing tackle and some guard a year ago has really paid off. And you see him working well with Justin, working well with Reese, and I just think his level of consistency is very high right now.
Are you liking the way the right side of the line with O'Day over there is coming together as well?
Yeah, I think like the group, I think we're seeing some growth and development with Jermaine in terms of protection, where he's fitting his helmet in the run game. And so we need to get that better, continue to get his pad level down. But those two seem to be on the same page now 2 weeks in a row. Haven't had any free runners or hitters that way, and that's important, in line play. If you're just targeting the right people, and then it comes down to your fundamentals and feet, hands, pad level, all those things. So I think they're growing.
You and Pete have both mentioned that O'Day has helped out with the communication. Could you elaborate on what exactly that's been like?
It's kind of what he just asked about Luke. When you've played a little bit, some of these issues that are coming at you, and so it's not just out there in game time, it's at practice, in the meetings, at lunch, wherever, talking about things, just hashing it out, getting young people to think about it, process it. And that's that, experience and leadership coming to the front. And really for both those guys, they've helped both our young tackles in that regard.
The Rams, their front's a little different maybe than it's been in the past. Does that present a different challenge, and what is the part of that?
It's the same group of guys for the most part. They're not all the same. They've had some new guys and some guys they changed out. But, with Wade coaching them, they're always going to give you a real challenge in terms of scheme. And then they're very talented. So really, we know who they are. Very good group. And so it's a really cool test for us.
How much different do you fit or recognize 3-4 versus 4-3? Is that a big difference?
Sure it is. Yeah, all those combinations are different across the board. And I would say, fortunately for us, we've been playing something similar here the last couple of weeks.
How have you seen Isaiah Battle comes in late for you, and then Matt Tobin came in mid-preseason? How have you seen those guys kind of develop, and what do you like about each of them at this point?
Matt is, again, like O'Day, like Luke, in that there's an experience factor there that you can never replace. And then with Isaiah, you're getting a big, long athlete that really does well at one-on-one pass protection. But there's no substitute for all the reps and time they've missed. So every day you're catching up. And you got to be careful not to overload them, obviously. Matt's a little bit ahead on that, but Isaiah's on the come. So it's just really catching them up to where the group's at, and you can't replace the spring and camp and all those things. There's just no way to do it. You just kind of keep building each day with them and try to stack them up.
You mentioned just last week that guys like Eddie Lacy and Tom Charles are going to be really valuable to this team. With Chris going down, just how important is that depth to having experienced guys coming in?
I said this to Coach. I think we're a lot more fortunate this year than last in that we do have depth there, quality depth. And so for us, it's going to pay off in regards to, okay, who do we go to? Well, we know who we're going to. And Eddie and Tommy will be fine, and no issues. We have some depth, so we're in a good place.
said something recently to the effect of Isaiah Battle has like a unique or kind of different style about him. What do you see there?
He's so darn long. You know, it's guys like him are a little bit unique because he can reach out and get you from far away, and you know, he's able then to, with his strength and his power and the size of man he is, to be able to anchor down and not get pushed much.
In the second half production against the Colts, what aspect was most critical for you to see kind of a breakthrough?
We relaxed. Seriously. I mean, we went in, we didn't change anything at halftime, just wrote on the board, communicate, relax, and be on the same page. And then we went out and played the second half. So it's, I mentioned this last week, I still feel like in some levels, we know we're pretty good on offense. And I think we've proved that a couple times here, but what we'd like to be is when we come out of the gate to start playing like that, obviously. And I just think we're just pressing too hard early, and that's growth. That's a young group learning to find themselves, find each other. And certainly when we got on the same page, it's looked pretty good.
How critical is that? I mean, the fact that it's just slowing the thought process down and having an understanding of what you're seeing. I mean, how critical a piece is that when you're talking about this whole thing?
I think it's huge. I think if you were to talk to anybody at a high level of sports, the sports psychologists, those kind of things, there's a term called quiet mind. And when you're able to obtain that, you can be right in the moment. You can be right there. You don't hear the noise. You don't hear the what ifs. Your self-talk is positive. You're not panicked. And we're certainly getting to that. We just like to get to it earlier and stay in it.
When you look back at a game where you went 10 for 15 on third down, how much of that is executing on third down versus what you did on first and second to get in the right situation?
Both, because first, second down, we're more on schedule. You know, so we didn't have as many long yardage situations last week, but then it comes down to that first piece you said, everybody's doing their job. And I think you hear that a lot in this game, but it really does come down to individual matchups on third down. And what you'd like to do is have the chains be in your favor, where you got a fair chance here and you're not trying to get 10s and 12s and 14s, things like that. If you can really play the game in 3 to 7 or less, you're really on it.
What's going to be different from your guys blocking now than they did with Carson?
What'll be different? It won't be. It won't be. You know, really, as I've said this before, when we've talked about it, the runners all have their own style, and you don't try to tweak them. You try to do things that maybe are a little more friendly to them in terms of scheme, that sort of thing. But the biggest thing is you keep doing your job and growing and developing, and they'll play off you. You know, they've been doing it since they were little in the backyard. You give them the ball and they run around, and they run around the car and the tree and the whatever, and they just make plays. And so they're doing the same thing. They don't change for us. We just kind of keep doing our thing, getting better, and let them be themselves.
Going back to Rawls and Lacey, what do they provide the running game, especially Lacey and his experience?
Well, you know, big body guy, he runs heavy, meaning that's a compliment. He's hard to tackle, that first tackler. And if you see him, a lot of times he's falling forward. He has a really nice average for his career, and it's indicative when he runs. He runs with power and strength. You know, Tommy, he can be real quick in and out of cuts, but he runs, you know, with good balance. So I think he got power and he got violence. Pretty good combination.
How'd Thomas handle last week, I think?
Well, I hope okay. You know, I think that when you're in a situation in the NFL where you have this kind of depth, you can't dress everybody you'd like to, but there are rules on Sunday, and you got to do what's best for the team in regards to special teams or defense or whatever the need is.
Is that pursuit of the quiet mind something that Thomas had to learn?
Quite truthfully, I think we all do. You and me both. You know, I think this is a part of life. When you get good, when you become a master at what you do, it's because you don't hear the noise, you don't hear the BS, you don't get off track. You know, and so I don't know that it's just for athletes. I think it's for all of us and all we do.
Anything else?
Thanks, guys.